We're going to talk a little bit about a lot of things today. There's a lot of really fantastic people on this panel, and it's going to mostly be a roundtable discussion where we all talk to each other, kind of through the course of how you might produce an actual play. We're going to talk about pre-production, production, post-production, very briefly on all of those topics because we only have an hour. And we are going to leave time for questions after. So, and if we don't get everybody's question, I know I will likely be outside after, and if you have more questions, you can ask. I can't guarantee everybody will, but I definitely will be. So help yourself. I imagine you're here because either you know us and you want to say hello, or because you are producing an actual play, want to produce an actual play, want more information on how other people handle this media form. A lot of you probably play D&D, other TTRPGs, and think, hey, I like what we're doing. I think that this is marketable, and I think that other people would enjoy watching us. And they probably would. But how do you make that happen, and how do you make something that other people will want to watch? I am Rebecca Hausman. I go by she, her pronouns. I am the executive producer and founder of Venture Forth D&D, and we'll go down the line, and we can all introduce ourselves briefly.
Sure, I'm Shane O'Loughlin. I'm the artistic director for Venture Forth. He, him pronouns.
Hi, I'm Reed Seitz, pronouns she, her. I'm a producer on StoryQuest.
Hello, friends. My name is Jess Wade, Jess the human on the internet. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and you might know me from my charity streaming.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jake Michels. I'm he, him, and I'm a producer and co-founder of Good Times Society.
And TJ Chambers, he, him. I'm, what am I? Senior creative producer at Mythical Entertainment across a number of shows that have nothing to do with D&D, but I'm also the EP and Dungeon Master for our show Roll for Mythicality.
Fantastic.
I already got morning radioed with it. I already got NPR. That was like, yeah. Sponsored by Bombas.
Well, great. So, we'll start with pre-production, right? So we'll dive right into this. I like to think that pre-production for an actual play isn't just how do we film this. I like to think it's also the philosophical discussion of why we do what we do and what kind of sparks that creativity. So if you could discuss, I want to see people. If anybody wants to jump on in to discuss like what got them into actual play producing, why they felt the urge to do this and to tell the stories that they tell.
So I talked a little bit about how I primarily do charity streams, and I have picked TTRPG streams to raise funds for charity. Since 2021, I've raised over $1 million through TTRPG charity streams and TTRPG bundles. Thank you so much. And it's because it's cup filling to me, marrying two things that I love very deeply. My love of games and silliness through TTRPGs, and also helping the world be a better place through charities. And so for me, my philosophy is always, how are we going to raise more funds for charities, for the cause that I have chosen to support with this specific group of people using this TTRPG. And so everything that I do in pre-production always leads back to that. Whether it's a murder board that has, a bunch of red tape on the wall, or just thinking of who I'm going to be casting, or even what I'm going to be supporting, it always goes back to that.
That makes me think of kind of a question for everybody, which is how much did you think or do you think of, like when I say target audience, I mean, there's people who would prefer to see really actual nitty-gritty rules followed, or there's people who would like to see loose improv comedy with a light layer of rules, and I guess how much going into pre-production did you think about which of those kind of pockets you want to, play to the most?
With Venture Forth, we set about, we were initially going to start like basically the week before COVID, and then COVID just completely shut down any possibility of that. And then we played just like test games for 3 or 4 months, because we were like, any minute now, we'll be able to meet in person.
They say everything's going to be just fine. Yeah.
But over the course of that time, we were able to develop our style and start to have very hugely important conversations about what we wanted our show to be. And basically, we all said, we gave everybody on our team homework of like, watch actual plays, diagnose your favorite things about them. What are the things you love about them? What are the things you don't or like less or whatever? And we ended up all being like, we really like the moments that are very RP focused. We like it when we see like really good performances, really dramatic storytelling, really deep narratives. And so from that, we kind of built out our 10 commandments. We call them our rules as listened because we started as an audio show. And that was effectively like the model that we built all of our show from. And to this day, the thing that we follow, which is like our philosophy, is like we want to be the most immersive you can be without losing the fact that you're still at a table playing the game with your friends. Because I think there's such an important element of like the rolling of the dice is a moment of tension, right? Nobody knows, not anybody at the table and not anybody in the audience, what's going to happen until that dice is rolled. And so you don't want to lose that like liveness of it, that electricity, but also keeping everything like inside the universe of the show. So for an example, we don't make any references. Like we have like references banned at our table. Like don't say like I throw my hand out like Spider-Man. You have to describe, I make a symbol with my fingers that, you know, causes the spell to emerge, you know. And so that became this thing, and it's funny because the more I talk about it nowadays, I come back to like, I came into this from, like many creators, an acting background, a theatrical background, and really what I think our show has ended up being is like me trying to reproduce stuff I learned in like black box theaters, where it's like there's no set pieces, there's just literal like boxes that you lay around and you go, this is the cabinet, and like that
Full-on
has
theater
this,
of the mind, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that to that point, to your question, TJ,
Yeah.
that was intrinsic to our pre-production, right? We wanted to find our voice before we ever released anything. And I think, but I think there's ways some people find it along the way. I mean, Reed, Jake.
I mean, I'd say that, like, to kind of answer your question with a bit of a hot take, I think actually you should always kind of go for the gallop of the improv a little bit, regardless if you're going for that rules-heavy kind of technical aspect to the game, because even if you have that, but if you still have fun story and everybody's having a good time telling it and equally collaborating within that, that's going to make your show a success just to the audience. You can kind of go down any rabbit hole you want in terms of the technical aspects of the game being played, but the audience is there for story, whether they kind of know it or not. Even if I'm not trying to say that the audience doesn't know what they want, because they do, but I think they forget that that story is the easy way to hook them in and the best way, and that's why we all tend to focus on it, I think, in this whole group easily.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree with Jake on that point. I think there is an area where rules do come in and it gets very exciting because when you say I cast Fireball, a lot of people know what that means. They're like, oh, that's a big fire spell with many, many dice. They're gonna go click-clack in the tray, which makes me very excited when I watch an actual play. But then we all fuse that back into the story of there's been now a very large, massive destruction that has occurred. And we get to say emotionally, how does that make us feel now?
The rules conversation is always very interesting to me because you see a lot of different examples across actual plays of like the rules heavy tables and the rules light, and I think there is not only room for everyone, but an important feature. It is still the thing that distinguishes an actual play from just an improv show, right? Is like there are rules and mechanics, and I think in my heart of hearts, like the ideal Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, game is where the mechanics are perfectly facilitating the storytelling, right? So you're not ignoring the rules. The rules are a part of how the story is told. It's the way that the D20 represents random chaos in the universe, right? I think that's like, I don't know, can anybody speak to like how they approach rules and the way that they manage the production of your work?
Yeah. I think rules can always throw a very interesting wrench because if you're writing down a traditional script, you know where the heart of darkness happens, you know where your exhalation moment happens. But when it comes to the dice on the tray, the heroes could win at a moment where you're like, oh, I expected the big bad guy to have his moment of victory. But there's a beautiful amount of flexibility I think makes this content feel so alive. And so you can have a rough idea of like, this is when a cave will appear. What happens in the cave? That's when the rules get to kind of play a little bit of jazz, and you get to have this beautiful moment of, well, I didn't expect certain things, but this is when a cave-in happens, because you didn't expect a player to go, you know what would be a great idea? Shatter. I'm gonna do shatter in this rocky cave, which will destroy all the rocks around me, and you go, okay, Well, now we have a cave running sequence, which is equally exciting because everyone is now taken by surprise. And that's why I think I like flowing rules in with narrative.
I think that my philosophy is going to differ from every other person's
I
on
think
here.
so.
Because I typically do one-shots. I do a rotating cast that changes every single month, supporting a rotating charity with a rotating GM. And so I'm in the business of one-shots. And I think when you have a tight 3 hours, because my bedtime is very strictly 9 p.m., and this has to happen after work, you really have to be able to be loosey-goosey and also get to the end of the story, because it really does need to end and I really do need to go to bed. But I think that when you have such a changing audience, because when you bring in a rotating cast, you're bringing in a rotating audience, people don't mind the idea of the rule of cool and being a little loosey-goosey and, hey, this is for charity, and so what if we don't actually TPK right now? What if when we raise $500, the BBEG actually dies? And so I think having that flexibility can be really fun. Not everything has to be so incredibly serious. And again, it all goes back to how are we going to raise more money for charity?
100%.
The rule of cool oftentimes is in service to that.
Of course.
I think that's perfect. That's a perfect segue, though, because I do think like you're thinking about the type of audience that you want to cultivate should affect how you make your show from day one. There are lots of incredible shows that already exist. If you tend to play a game that is more in those styles, sometimes it's better to navigate that. If you have, I think, TJ, you tend to have a lot of comedians that you can pull in and work with, or people who have improv experience. And so I'm sure that affects how you navigate.
Well, and even, I think there's so much to think about in terms of an actual play is sort of professionalizing what we do at home as a game.
Yes.
Has so many aspects, like Jess already mentioned, that, it needs to, not just because of your very firm bedtime, like an episode needs to be an episode in a way that if you're at home, you could just go like, well, we didn't quite get to it, but that was fun. We still ate sun chips and drunk out beer, like, see you tomorrow. But an episode needs to be an episode. And in my show's case, almost all of my players were brand new to the game, and they are all either paid on-camera performers for Mythical or employees of that company. And what that means that you just kind of wouldn't think about with a home game is like, if I say, okay, you want to create a bard, well, like, go learn more about those rules. Am I paying you your day rate to go learn about those rules? There's all these layers to the professionalizing of it that become an interesting aspect. So it's like, comedians freewheeling, great, but the bones of the stakes of rules, like you say, kind of still need to be there. So then it's how do you guide them to enough of that so that people feel like there is that structure to it. Yeah.
I tend to minimize it as much as I can. I just tend to tell them, don't worry about the rules, especially because I generally will have the faith in the dungeon master / game master to make them comfortable in that environment. I'm sure you're the same way, as a matter of fact. And so, like, I think a lot of people I know, even professional performers and improvisers, get very intimidated when they first play something like D&D or something like that, because they know about the history, they know that the rule books are 300 pages, and they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, actually, you do know what you're doing. You are a better storyteller than I am. You just haven't done it with dice before. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think we're actually kind of navigating ourselves into kind of the production talk right now. I think this is already the entrance of that, like casting, pulling your team together. Do you pay them a day rate to learn the rules, or do you teach them that, hey, tell me what you want to do and I will, as the GM, facilitate making that happen and just
Certainly
tell
kind
you.
of the way you have to do it, which is the fun.
Yeah.
It's sort of learning at the table. And that kind of is, probably everyone saw that great clip of, was it Deborah Ann Wool?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
taking, what's his name
John
through?
Bernthal,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's the light bulb that goes off with everybody that's just like, think through what you would want to do in this situation, and I will help you apply rules
Yes.
to that or roles to that or whatever it may be. Yeah, it feels like the universal good approach across the board, because then you can have new people rotated all the way in a one shot. They don't have to have institutional memory about how this table plays its game or whatever, if it's just kind of your ethos.
They also, I don't know, new people tend to ask the best questions, so it is good content if they're cool with it. Like, I love teaching new people D&D, especially performers who don't know what to expect, because they make choices that you wouldn't ever see coming. And then you get to embrace those.
I think one of the biggest assets when you're playing with someone in a storytelling sense and they're not used to the rules is just giving a guide. And I think that does make the most creative instances as well.
Well, and when it comes to producing your actual play, getting your core group together looks different for every show, right? So if you're just putting on a one-shot, it's going to look very different because you're going to say, hey, who in the industry already is going to make me the most money for this charity? Who can I pull that I think will be exciting in this IP, in this specific game, in this whatever? So for Jess, who would be getting me the money I need for the charity, which makes perfect sense for TJ. It's who already works for this company and is interested in doing this. For Venture Forth, it's a huge ask. It's a giant task because we have one core cast and we meet twice a month, 3 times a month, record, and have been going for 5.5 years. And sometimes there's people who come and go of that main core cast, but otherwise it's like you kind of sell your soul to the show and you just kind of commit to sticking it out and to finishing the story. And sometimes that works if you've got the right people who are passionate about the same thing and want to tell the same types of stories, but sometimes it doesn't. And there are ways to navigate having full casts that are not rotating and doing what Reed does with StoryQuest and doing seasons that they film in bulk that they release over time. So I think everybody can talk to a little bit of how they have made, like how their show specifically, its release schedule, its recording schedule, its everything has been fully packaged and thought of in advance to best release what they do. So I'd love to hear kind of your ethos on how you've done that.
So for StoryQuest, when we're doing sort of packaged seasons where we're filming it usually over 2-3 days, there is some pre-production beforehand. We meet up. It's what kind of story are we planning to tell in these 2-3 days, and who kind of fits into the type of story that we want to tell. If we're telling a space adventure story, who has a love of space adventure, who likes Treasure Planet, who likes Star Wars, who's going to kind of understand the sort of tropes and story that we're going to tell, and how are we going to have a good time for those 3 days? Because we want to kind of show up, have a great time, enjoy the story that we're telling, because people can tell when you're having fun or when you're not having fun. I think viewers get a sense for that. We do occasionally do live shows as well, and that's a little more loosey-goosey. It's like we're all going to get up on the stage, we're going to roll dice, the GMs might swap, and that's going to be very silly, and just feel free to ding a bell and give us the fun kind of trouble. And it's that kind of energy of who wants to play and can we play with you when it comes to live in that circumstance.
For me, it used to be very loosey-goosey. It has tightened up a lot over the last 5 years, mostly because I have gotten better as a producer. And a lot of the reason why is because I physically needed to start writing things down and start working in advance, because it was, okay, well, my July thing just ended. Now I need to start working on August. And it was a tumbleweed of disaster. And so it has gotten a lot better over the years, but typically I start with my game master and really talk about them about what their schedule looks like, and what kind of TTRPG that they would like to play, and also feel comfortable teaching people if I have wrangled up people that don't know how to play this, because most people have played D&D. Not everyone has played Monster of the Week. Not everyone has played Thirsty Sword Lesbians. After I get the...
Most people, though.
Yeah. Once I get that game master, I start thinking of, okay, we know that we're going to be playing a lighthearted game. I always tell my game masters, I don't really want to play a sad game. Like, that is not content that I want to produce. Yeah. It's not bad content, but that doesn't make me feel good while I'm playing.
Yeah.
And
that's
it also
important. That's so important too.
And I'm selfish sometimes. Like in April, I'm playing with all people that I've played with before. They're all my friends. We're raising funds for Trans Lifeline because those are the people that I want to play with. But typically, I'll try to go out into the community and find at least a couple people that I haven't played with before, because not only do I want to expand my network, but I also want to tap into their audiences to, raise more money for charity, back to what I'm trying to do with charity TRPGs. And then you also like have to do a vibe check. You know, you have 3 hours to do your one shot. You have half an hour for tech check, and you've got that 1 hour session 0. So I really have to do some Tetris sometimes on, do I think that this person is going to vibe with this person, or should I split them up? Have one person come in April, the next person come in May. And so it's a lot to do, but I'm constantly doing it every month. And like I said, it's not a tumbleweed of disaster anymore. It's moving forward.
I think I really love what you touched on, though. You touched on like finding your joy, because you are the one producing this. And at the end of the day, if you are producing something that you're not enjoying, that isn't filling your cup, what are the odds that you're gonna keep doing it, right? Like, none of us are up here because we're making millions. We're up here because we're incredibly passionate about what we do and we love it. And you wanna surround yourself with people you enjoy being surrounded with, and you wanna try to find the best way you can to stay consistent and to keep going, because that's the only way you find your audience. I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I wanna finish this conversation first before I move into finding your audience, but I think you really touched on such a valuable point.
Absolutely. No, if it's not bringing you joy, if it feels like a chore, you shouldn't be doing it, because you want to avoid burnout. Like, I want to be
You'll
doing
stop doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you can.
Yeah. I want to be doing this maybe when I'm 60. I don't know. I don't know what the space is going to look like at that point. I know we're going to talk on that later. But like, I want to do this for as long as I can, have as much fun as I can, and do as much good as I can. And so when it starts becoming a chore, I have to say to myself, okay, maybe we're just going to do, one TTRPG charity stream next month. Maybe instead of doing a TTRPG charity stream, we're going to do a raffle, something low effort, so I can still give back to the community, but also take care of myself.
Yeah, and I think your attitude and your enthusiasm is also going to permeate on the project, right? So if you feel great about it and you are excited about it, then your performers are going to feel excited to be there and excited to create with you, and then vice versa as well. If you're feeling stressed out about it and not enjoying it, they're not going to be as enthused either. I mean, I think a lot of things have been said about production. We treat everything as film production, so we have 3 days to do it or whatever, and we film it all as much as we can in that time. I always try to get a session 0 in as a day that's paid for our actors, and for them to just kind of do it on their own time, and it's no pressure of being filmed for the most part. Sometimes we will, but that lack of pressure lets them start the camaraderie before they're on camera, which I think is so important. I don't know about you guys, but whenever you have a really good session 0, all of the kinks of the first episode get out already. Everybody already has some shared communication and hopefully some inside jokes already. And so they have something to build off of, because otherwise I always find that the session 1 is always a slowly moving train, just everybody's trying to keep it going, or at least get it started, and we don't have a rhythm until later on, or at least the second episode. Piggybacking on what you said about the vibes, I also, in looking for people that are going to have fun at the table, I'm trying to look for people that are going to make other performers look better. So they are improvisers that I don't really care if somebody can do an awesome monologue on the spot. I care if they can suggest a new offer that's going to make somebody's monologue even better. And that's the alchemy that we should always be looking for.
Yeah, there is a mosquito that loves me, which I assume is some sort of wild-shaped bad guy, and combat's about to break out at any moment. But I think something that's interesting for everybody, and to think about if you're going to start an actual play, is also what systems are in place, which is not a sexy thing to say with a fun of D&D, but there are so many moving parts to production, and I came to this from traditional television for 15 years, and even I forget, it's going to take art department a month to build a terrain that just because I said I wanted to do, combat on a series of floating islands in my head or whatever, I need to set a meeting with them to communicate that, to get designs and just stuff that you can pile up really quickly, or you can forget how much we would generally, when we're in a production period, we film once a month, 2 episodes on that day. And I'm always I find myself looking at that month ahead, and I'm great, as soon as I get past that, I'm also, then there's the one the next month that I already need to have everything going for. And so I think looking at the way you like to create, produce, perform, and saying what's an exciting and fun and sustainable way for me to do that is gonna fulfill everything, but then is gonna keep that going, because so many things in any digital outlet or new shows or that type of thing, there's there's a burn bright and quickly burn out situation. There's schedules and oops, it wasn't here this month, sorry everybody, and stuff that just like is so inherent to a part of this.
Absolutely. We all want to have an incredible show that has amazing terrain that was made by talented artists and is perfectly lit and perfectly shot and perfectly recorded and we've got our own custom music and we've got all of these things. We all want that, obviously. However, what is sustainable and what can you do? Because a lot of people don't have a show behind them, a giant art department behind them that they can go to. So what are your resources? Really identify, kind of in the pre-production side of things, really identify what your resources are, and some of those are non-tangible resources, right? Some of those are, what skills do I have, soft skills do I have that can make this happen? Calendars, am I good at organizing? Marketing, media, am I good at marketing things? Can I provide that to my team because none of us are getting paid to do this, or some of us are? Am I good at writing copy? And if the answer is no to something, right, the answer is, oh, none of us know how to edit with audio or edit video. But we do know audio. Great, let's do audio only. Oh, there's more tools now so that we can do video. Cool, add video later. We don't have an art department. None of us have the time to manage terrain. Okay, use a VTT, right? Find what works for you and make that the best thing you can do. Don't find what works best for somebody else, because I'm sure Roll for Mythicality can do a hugely different thing than what Venture Forth can do, and vice versa.
And that I think is such an important part of the building out of it. When we started, it's to put in simplified terms, and I'm just going to go ahead and mention other giant actual plays in the space. It's I have to show it to executives and be it can look like Critical Role, which kind of looks like a live stream and a multi-box, and the eye lines don't match up, but it's just 3 cameras and it's super easy, or it can look like Dimension 20. Now we need 7 cameras and cross coverage and editing and so on and so forth. So you forget about those things. It's what DNA do you even want your show to have or look like, whether it's audio, whether it's video, kind of from the beginning, because all that stuff goes into. I spent way too long just trying to figure out what table shape.
Yes,
Even allow
100%.
cameras in a thing where that still felt like you were at a same, this round table discussion we're having here at a very horizontal table. You're what's going to make everyone feel like they're sharing a space and at the same table, but also get you all the looks that you want. There's just so many things to tackle.
And to kind of tie it back into what Jess was talking about with having that core, that foundational idea of even just I'm raising money for charity, and that means it's fairly light on rules, and it's got these the casting element is this kind of 3D chess you're playing with, organizing different people, something that with Venture Forth we had a certain set of skills, and we had an apartment that we could set up Duvetine backgrounds, so there were these kind of fundamental things, but every moment of the way I was always trying my best to see how can everything tie back into this idea of immersion, right? And if I can't make it look if it can't be an evolving background that changes into whatever shape we can have it, how can it be basic enough that it can inhabit that anyway or evoke that?
Or not distract from
it. Or not pull away from, so there's our players they're not allowed to wear logoed shirts or anything. We wear very basic things to try and just tie those things in, and how can you do that affordably and consistently, right? That sort of thing.
And if you have the joy of not being able to do it affordably, I think, or if you're a company,
everybody is, right?
Everybody is, but
No
sure,
matter
but if you're a company like Jake at Good Time Society, and you're doing some sponsored games, you have a totally different outlet for what you can do. You're still coming back to the core of what resources do we have, and how can we make it the best we can make it. But at the end of the day, really identifying your resources is going to be the core.
Yeah, especially for something like me, we're so specific because of our production is kind of tied into how much we have, and then we just make the show no matter what.
Yeah.
Instead of can we make the show? It's we will, but at what scale?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I care more about is the vibes. Again, it comes back to that, and that's what I focus on as a director or producer. I focus on the other stuff as well, but to me that's almost automatic, and I really want to encourage anybody who's thinking about starting to kind of still prioritize that. I think all this is very important advice for the production aspect of it and your scope and scale, but you having a good time and telling a good story is top top priority.
You never want to lose we're a group of friends around a table playing a game together.
Yes, yes.
You never want to lose that.
It should all be in service to that.
Exactly.
Well, and it is, viewers don't know what might have gone into something. Like, as a producer of anything, you fall into this trap where you're like, we worked so hard to make this thing happen, so I'm leaving it in the cut because we worked so hard. It's like, well, they don't know that.
Yeah.
So it actually turns out, a lot of times that just really good theater of the mind story, no one's giving you credit usually. Well, I didn't really like this, but I'm tuning into it because look at that massive thing they built in the background.
100%.
So yeah, you can cart before the horse, I think, sometimes in that type of stuff. That you make a good point. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think we can we are kind of gently moving into post-production a little bit. But by post-production, we don't mean necessarily editing or anything like that. We mean, where's your audience? How do you find your audience? There's a really fantastic, do you remember who said it? There's a really fantastic quote that
Kevin Smith, I think.
Kevin Smith had a quote that on day one of our ideation for our podcast, audio-only podcast at the time, we said, and the quote paraphrased is,
Make 100
episodes of something,
and your audience will find you.
and your audience will find you, right? So just keep doing it consistently, and your audience will find you.
I really like that. It's so true. Like, some of the best stuff I've done has never seen the light of day. And also the stuff I'm most proud of or think of was like an improv rehearsal. Like, it never happens on stage.
No.
I'm sorry. It always happens at rehearsal. Like, and that's the same thing of like, if you get enough practice at this stuff, you will be more consistent at doing it. So yeah, I love that advice.
So don't give up. Like keep going. I mean, we would do. The first year of our show, the audio-only show, was going to my mom, and I'm pretty sure that's the only person who was like, no, it's not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a huge audience necessarily right at the start, and if you make your show because you're saying, I need 10,000 people to watch episode 1, and then I need 20,000 people to watch episode 2, you're in for a very rude awakening, unless you have some really massive names, and even then, episode 2 is gonna drop. If you don't have the vibes that are right. And even then, if you have the vibes.
I think also that's so key to developing your voice. I love the Elvis Costello says something about he found his style impersonating others for many years. And what Elvis Costello is such a very specific style, but it's one of those things that as you go, you improve on your skills, on every skill that you're lacking, really.
And you won't improve until you start. I know so many people who are like, oh, I just really want to perfect my editing skills. It doesn't matter if it's audio or video, or, oh, I just really want my terrain to be perfect. And if you don't start, you're never going to have an audience. Maybe it's going to be the audience of your mom. Maybe it's going to be the 10,000 people, but it's never going to happen unless you just freaking do it. So just start. I cringe so much looking back at the stuff I made back in 2021. It is hard to look at. In fact, I have made it so no one can see it except on my YouTube, and you would have to pay me a lot of money to be able to look into the archives. But being able to go back and look at the crap that I made at the beginning to what I'm producing now is just, it's incredible. And again, you're never going to get there unless you just start. You can always get better as you're
100%.
going.
You learn the most from those cringy moments too,
Literally.
right? Because they stick with you because of the pain.
Yeah.
No, that is the most valuable lesson, is when you screw up, right? And you're like, well, I'm never doing that again. And if you have 1,000 of those in a miniature way, you are going to get better at it, and it's going to become intrinsic in your performance. Totally.
I mean, that is such a, you can't stress test all those things until you did start and do it. And I was just thinking, I caught a whiff of a little online controversy just recently. There's a new actual play that launched, and it had come from Kickstartering and that kind of thing. And technically, I felt like people felt like there was some issues. And my first thought was, so as we've kind of said or joked or alluded to, I'm blessed to have a giant production resource behind what I do. So Roll for Mythicality, we film on the same soundstage with the same cameras, same sound, same equipment, same staff as a show called Good Mythical Morning, which has made 3,000 episodes of daily internet. It's won every award possible. We made the second episode of our D&D show, and it went into post, and the editor said, I don't have Link's camera, one of our main guys, ISO cameras, just some sort of setting about frame rates and technical sync sound boxes has corrupted the footage. We don't have it, we just have to reshoot it. And so I don't know the people of this new actual play that I'm talking about at all, and I have no guess as to anything, but I can tell you, I was a producer on Dancing with the Stars, and sometimes the sound gets effed up.
Yes.
They have every piece of equipment and technical knowledge in the world, so trust that things are gonna happen if you do this, and great, work through it, learn from it.
You got to roll with the punches.
We're 200 plus episodes deep in our show, and I run all the tech for it. And there are some times where I'm just like, that's out of focus for an hour. Somebody bumped it, and there's just an hour of this episode that's out of focus on that camera, and it's you have to learn not to punish yourself too much for those kinds of issues because they're inevitable with that. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. I think I want to take 5 minutes right now to talk, what do you think the future of TTRPG media specifically looks like? I don't think I have an answer for this, but I am just curious if anyone does, and then we're going to take some questions.
Anybody have a quick guess on that?
You want to solve the problem right now, world hunger right now?
I think a future is my first San Diego Comic-Con was 2001, and I've been at just about every one since then, and what I've seen is previously comic books became an engine for IP, right? All of a sudden, everyone woke up and realized there's amazing stories here and some built-in audiences and things like that. So I think that you'll see more, after animated series come out that are based on actual plays and stuff, that hopefully that rising tide will sort of lift all ships a little bit because more traditional kind of outlets will see what's being generated in these amazing story spaces and hopefully just give a seed a little bit more support for it in the hopes that some of those may turn into that kind of thing.
I love that thought. I would love that. Anybody else?
I think it's got to evolve a little bit more. I think a lot of us have found our audiences within the whole world a little bit. There's still plenty of other people to find us still, but I think a lot of our audience knows what they're looking for and have found it, and a lot of us cater to that.
Yeah.
And we kind of drive what we like ourselves, so it's not as easy to bring in new people. It's also a strange thing to explain. Have you ever explained an actual play to a person who doesn't know what an RPG is?
Yep.
It takes 3 paragraphs. It's way too long.
Right, so kind of broadening that audience almost, making it more...
The format needs to be more than just people at a table. It needs to show an expression of the story in some way. Harmon Quest kind of did that for a time when they were doing animated versions of it, and I think that's a really good prototype to start with, and there's a lot of other similar things out there that are growing and expanding and making them more game showy and stuff, or the reality show bent of it. Traders is starting to become kind of that thing in Taskmaster as well, of game, actually playing game instead of just people fighting. And so then if you can incorporate authentic people doing dramatic things in character in a game, that's our bridge into a broader audience.
I do not know. However, I think that we're going to see a lot of different cohorts of TTRPG actual plays happening. And I think that there's going to be, just some audiences are going to like them all. And I think that there are going to be some that are just very faithful to the OGs that they started with, where other people are just going to continue making their own, which is incredible. More competition is great. This is an incredible medium. This is an incredible way for people to express themselves. And so I think we're going to continue seeing this become very saturated. And I don't think that that is a bad thing, because the people who burn themselves out or who this becomes a chore for will see themselves out and make way for new people to come in and replace them. It's just going to kind of keep rinsing and repeating and producing great things, some not so great. Some people are going to be starting for the first time and making those 1,000 mistakes, but they need to make those 1,000 mistakes until they can get to the gold.
I think that was absolutely beautiful.
You're however
Yeah, you're I don't know, but let me drop some bars real quick. I think it is going to grow. I think as we get more tabletop games on the market with different vibes and different storytelling practices, so too will actual plays grow with different vibes and storytelling practices. I feel like people are going to continue experimenting. I feel like there's going to be so much spaghetti on these walls, we're going to feast for millennia. my own bar of my own. But I think no matter what you do, at the end of the day, you got to reflect on what you've done, what you've learned, and take it forward. I think every StoryQuest project we've done, we've taken a moment, we've like go, okay, we did it. What did we learn? What do we want to do again? What maybe do we not want to repeat? I think that's the most important thing you can take forward with you into the future.
Yeah, I think I don't want to reiterate too hard what everybody else has already said, but I think there is this, what's kind of neat about seeing so many grassroots actual plays coming up and just like making stuff from scratch is that we are kind of testing the envelope, testing the boundaries of this medium and what it's capable of doing, how gamey it is, how rules heavy it is, how not it can be, what different systems have to offer to the medium. I think that, yeah, we're effectively like stress testing it to see what the scale of it could be and whether it's like, you know, this is that recent controversy about opera and Timothy Chalamet, right? Where it's like, is actual play media its own category of storytelling, and how does it exist in the space with movies and television, video games, all these other kinds of media?
Right, because it is some of all things. It is improv, it is comedy, it is storytelling, it is building. Well, thank you so much for your round-tableness on this. I really had a great time.
On this very straight
table. It's been great. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to step outside, and I don't know if anybody else will, but I will be right outside, so if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. I will say there is an actual play happening right now, so if you are interested in seeing what a live actual play can look like, room 153, we've got Wandering Path, which has been an audio-only podcast for many years. It's going on right down in 153. If you would like to go stop in and say hello to them, they've got about an hour left of their show. They're doing a live show for an audience. I am Rebecca Hausman. You can find me at Rebecca_Hausman everywhere, or at Venture4th D&D everywhere, and we can go down the line.
Yeah, I'm just Venture4th. Yeah, I have no identity. I just am in Venture4th.
Hi, I'm Reed Seitz. You can find me at StoryQuest on Instagram, or Reed's Books, that's Reed with a Z, Books with an S, on everything else.
Hello, friends. Jess the Human, Jess with just one S on quite literally all of the socials. You could also find me at TTRPGs, like if you took charity and then TTRPGs and put them together. I've been doing that for 2 years. That's my other identity with this, and I don't know. Find me there.
Hi, I'm Jake. You can find me at Good Time Society, and if you want to see some of my stuff, I guess it's the Jake Michaels.
And I'm at TJ Chambers LA on everything, and you can see all of the existing episodes of Roll for Mythicality on the Mythical Society, which is a paid streaming platform. So what I would advise you to do is wait for like a free sign-up special, just watch my show, ignore all the rest of the content that's on there, and then just remember, set that alarm to cancel within a month. And you'll be
There we go.
official word.
Thank you so much.